Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we finally get a chance to look at one of these Mattel Plesiosaurus figures. As you can see, this is the Dino Rivals Savage Strike Plesiosaurus, and this actually came into stock briefly on Amazon about a week or two ago, I'd say, and I hurried up and ordered it immediately because I've tried to get this repeatedly, and every single time I do, it's always out of stock by the time I get to it. But luckily, my order actually went through. I finally have a chance to take a look at this incredibly elusive figure. Such a pain in the butt to get a hold of some of these Mattel figures, but luckily I have this one here now to take a look at with you guys. At first glance here in the packaging, it definitely looks really beautifully well done. You can see the packaging is the typical Dino Rivals packaging, nothing really new or flashy with that. You've got an image of the Plesiosaur here on the back, very cool shot of some of the other Savage Strikes down here in the corner, and then a sneak peek of the collector's card right there. So let's go ahead, break it out of the box, and take a look at it. So here is the card for the Plesiosaur. You've got some really nice artwork there of the Plesiosaur itself, along with some of the stats, which for the most part are fairly low, and then the back is Dino Rivals Jurassic World, the typical back to these cards. And here is our Plesiosaur itself, who just sits down on his face. For some reason, he does not want to associate with us right now. Ooh, that sounded bad. But we got to get his head up a little bit to take a look at it. The neck feature apparently was never messed with before. It's pretty stiff initially, but it definitely looks really beautiful. I guess it's a bit smaller than I was expecting, but I should have known it would be fairly small considering it is a Savage Strike figure. They're not normally very large, but I don't know why I just expected it to be a little bigger. Regardless, though, it definitely looks really, really beautiful. Mattel is just absolutely ridiculous when it comes to delivering a beautiful sculpt repeatedly, and this is definitely no different. It really looks incredible. I'm very, very excited about this. I've waited so long to get a hold of this figure, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So starting up at the head sculpt, you can see that the head sculpt for the most part is really, really nice looking. As far as the detailing goes, they did a great job on the fine detailing, the really nice skin texture. Definitely really beautiful looking, and the skin texture is almost smooth, but you can really make it out there as I turn it ever so slightly. It definitely has a very beautiful appearance to it, without question. If my camera would just want to focus on this poor guy. You can see the eye is actually painted really perfectly on that side, and same goes for this side, so that is really awesome. That's definitely a breath of fresh air when it comes to this Plesiosaur. We've got the articulation of the jaw. The inside of the mouth definitely sports some really nice detailing, but unfortunately on the upper side of the jaw there is no paint or anything. You can see on the tongue and the back of the throat there is that pinkish color. If you open the jaw too far, which it doesn't even look that bad from this side, but you can see that now it has run down over the neck. So once you close it, that would be this area is very visible once you open the jaw a bit too far. But it definitely appears to have a really nicely textured tongue in there. Beautiful gloss coat included on the pink areas as well. Really nice, really realistic looking also. The teeth for the most part appear to be painted pretty nicely. There doesn't appear to be any real sloppiness anywhere. A little bit here actually. It's run onto the jaw right there. But for the most part, honestly, it looks pretty nice, and considering it has those almost like crocodile-like teeth, it is pretty impressive that they're painted as nicely as they are. The head is primarily like this yellowish color, and then you've got this kind of blue splotchiness, which I feel like the coloration is definitely something that could have potentially been realistic on this species. As we start to run down the neck, you can see some very nice fine detailing of the skin texture. There's also an area of articulation here in the neck, and as you see, you can turn it, but that blue does stay really nicely present there. So they've done a good job of making sure that even when it articulates, the color is still consistent with the rest of the body and the way it looks. Really nice skin texture again. You can see lots of creases and stuff in the neck as we run down the neck, and we get down here into the upper part of the body, and you can see that blue splotchiness is just all over, and it really does look quite cool. Definitely very naturally applied, beautifully applied, and the coloration looks so good together. I can definitely see that for sure. You can also pick up on kind of those speckles all over the body like you seem to always have when it comes to a Mattel figure. As we get closer, you can see lots of wrinkling and everything going on right here. Really nice skin texture all over the place, honestly. Very fine scaling. You can't really see too well until I move it here. You can pick up on it. Beautiful work. Also nice creases in the back as well as far as that skin texture. If we get down into the flippers here, you can see again as I turn it, those very fine scales, that really nice fine skin texture. Same goes for the underside, and you can really pick up on all those speckles everywhere all over the place. They are very, very present on this figure, much more so than most Mattel figures. There is the Jurassic Facts app code. As we're here right now, we might as well give you guys a chance at scanning that if you want to add this to your collection. Really nice skin texture again as we run back the length of the body. You can see that the flippers here are a different coloration than the body, ever so slightly different. There isn't too much of a difference, but it is definitely a different shade. Same with the tail and actually the neck as well. So the main body is actually like a lighter version of the rest of this, for the most part it seems. Again, we come back here into the rear flipper. Looks just as good as the front flipper did. And the body primarily is the same, of course, on both sides. You're not going to really have much difference for sure when it comes to this figure. So we don't really have to take a look or anything at this side. It pretty much looks exactly the same. You've got the tail back here. Really nice skin texture the whole way out there as well. And on the underside, definitely an incredibly nice looking Plesiosaur from Mattel. I am very, very impressed. As far as a size goes on our Plesiosaurus, from the tip of the head to the tail, you're looking at about just a little over 7 inches or about 18 centimeters, and there's not really going to be much for height. It's, I guess, really dependent on where you want the neck to go. It seems as though that's the furthest, that's the furthest point up that the neck would go, so you're not going to get much as far as a height, just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. For a width as far as the flippers go, you're going to see the flippers at about 4.5 inches or around 11.5, maybe 12 centimeters, somewhere in that range. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, and you can definitely see now that this Plesiosaurus is quite small in comparison. Being a Savage Strike figure, they are all fairly similar in size, right around the, honestly, about Attack Pack size range, maybe a little bigger. Regardless, it's definitely really quite nicely sized. As far as articulation goes, of course, we've got the articulated jaw, which works perfectly. You've got articulation in the neck right there that just goes up and down. You've also got articulation right here, which now is starting to work a little smoother now that I've done it a few times. It initially had almost a snapping noise to it. You've also got articulation here in the tail that goes up and down. And then you can see the flippers here are all wobbly, very wobbly. And we've got the Savage Strike action here, which is basically the flippers kind of swimming. And I think it works really quite well. Definitely looks quite nice overall. Very cool addition to the figure, but I don't really see this as a striking action. It's just kind of an action, I guess. But regardless, that's what we get with our Savage Strike Plesiosaur. So this brand new Mattel Savage Strike Plesiosaurus is definitely beautiful. I really am a big fan, for sure, of the sculpt. I think the sculpt is fantastic, and it's kind of a little bit sad that they're so hard to get a hold of, because I would love to actually repaint one, but considering how incredibly elusive these are currently, unless that changes in store, I don't see that happening, because it's just really not even worth the hassle of trying to hunt another one down. I would love to still get a hold of the battle damage version of this, as it's a slightly different coloration, and of course battle damage included, but that one is even harder to find than this one, and in fact that's one of the hardest Mattel figures I think right now to find at all. So unless that one starts showing up in stores, I may never get that one either. But I am glad to have this one now. I think the sculpt of this looks really beautiful. They've done some very nice detailing, some very nice fine detailing. For the most part, the skin texture looks great. It's got some really beautiful, very small, fine scales that you almost can't even pick up on unless you get really close and really take a good look at it. Or you kind of turn it a little bit and help it to shine and glisten a little bit off of the light. Certain areas of it seem to have a bit of a gloss coat to it, like primarily the flippers, which I think is very cool as well, because this would be an animal that lives in the water, so when it comes out of the water, odds are it's probably going to have a bit of a shiny appearance. I actually think I would have liked it all over the entire body, honestly, but they did not do that. It's primarily, it seems to be the glossiness of the flippers, but it does still look really, really good for sure as far as that coloration goes. I think the coloration is actually really well done. Beautiful choices. You don't often see a yellowish brown type Plesiosaur, but it looks super good on this figure for sure. And that blue on the back definitely looks very ocean-like, very Plesiosaur-like, so I really do quite like that, along with the design and everything that they've gone with that splotchiness. I know Mattel more often than not does usually do that type of a color scheme with their figures where they just kind of splotch some paint on the top of it like that, but it always does look really cool, and that follows through here with this Plesiosaur. The additions of the articulation is definitely really quite nice. You've got quite a few different areas of articulation, along with the Savage Strike action, which really isn't much of an attack or a strike or anything like that. It's primarily just the Plesiosaur swimming along, but I definitely really quite like that action feature as well. Really cool, something that I didn't expect. I kind of expected the Savage Strike to maybe be the head snapping down or something, but it's not. It's the flippers that move, and I think it really does look quite cool because of it. So this is definitely an awesome Plesiosaur from Mattel, and I really highly recommend anybody that can get a hold of this to exactly do just that and go ahead and get a hold of it. I will put a link in the description to where I ordered it on Amazon. However, I don't know for sure when or if it will come back into stock. It kind of comes in and then disappears, and then comes in and then disappears. So my suggestion to you is just keep checking back, see if there's a way to put on in-stock alerts or something. I don't know if you can do that on Amazon, but if you can, it would not be a bad idea, because this thing is incredibly hard to get a hold of for the most part, and having any type of an update as far as stock goes would not be a bad idea. So again, check the description, follow it to Amazon, and hopefully you'll be able to score one of these very cool Savage Strike Plesiosaurs. But before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.